This magic moment.
Now, this magic moment.
3-point shot. Back in. The bank open.
Orlando rises.
Bain hoisting at the buzzer. He drills it.
Legends live.
It's a crack kick now.
And the magic is real.
He's going to go for the win. Shot is up and he got it.
Strap in. It's showtime with RJ Saunders.
It is this magic moment right here on 1010XL Magic. RJ Saunders here with you. Glad you guys are here with us. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel and also like this video as we continue following the Orlando Magic. Before we blink, October is going to be here and Orlando Magic basketball will be back, and I will be absolutely elated to be hearing our next guest telling us everything in terms of what the Magic are doing on the basketball court, on the radio waves here on 1010XL. He's a brother to me and us here on 1010XL Magic here in Jacksonville, and always bothering him, always wanting to pick his brain about the Orlando Magic, but he's always gracious, giving us just a couple moments of his time. He's the radio play-by-play man for the ball club. He's none other than Jake Chapman. Jake, thanks so much again, sir. It's been a minute. I have missed you. How have you been?
Never bothering, my friend. Never bothering, RJ. It's good to hear from you. Good to see you as well. And yeah, I'm rested, refreshed. The offseason's been a little bit too long to my liking. Let's make it a little bit shorter next year, if at all possible. Play a little bit deeper into the spring/summer. But you know me, I got a young one to chase around all summer long. She's 3, so that's what I've been doing. I have been trying to stay hydrated. It's been one hell of a summer. It's way hotter when you have to be outside chasing around a 3-year-old. And somehow when you're 3, it doesn't matter that it's 93 degrees and 80% humidity or whatever. But ready to go. You're right. It's last time we talked, Sean Sweeney hadn't been hired yet. Of course, we didn't have a schedule drop just yet. And all of the madness in the Eastern Conference hadn't happened just yet. So it's been quite the summer. The NBA stands for never a boring afternoon. It feels like it's just like always something going on. But I'm just about ready to go. I'm starting to get the itch, and and pretty soon we'll be talking about media day and training camp and all that good stuff and getting rolling.
I forgot to read here in my introduction, you are also our Cleveland Browns correspondent. Jake.
Oh, there's a reason you forgot. I didn't sign up for this.
Jake,
you did not put this on the notes, RJ. I did not sign up.
Jake, last time we spoke, man, I mean, listen, things were clearly different with the Browns. I mean, listen, Myles Garrett was still there. He's now in LA. Deshaun Watson expressed his feelings towards the fan base, you guys there, saying that he feels it's gotten a bit personal between you guys and himself, being now named the starting quarterback. Mary Kay Cabot has gone on the radio airwaves and said that it felt like he had been needing to get that out for a while, thought he was going to cry during that press conference there. You being a Cleveland Browns fan, I'm now scared because I don't think you're going to make your way up I-4 here to Jacksonville to watch game 1 of the regular season. Just what is going on with the Cleveland Browns, if you can put your finger on it?
Oh, that's okay. So first off, heck of a job doing your research. A Mary Kay Cabot drop means that you're plugged in, that you're following the primary sources.
Right.
Mary Kay is an absolute legend, and so look. But then you presented all of that information, and then the question is, what's going on with the Cleveland Browns? And if anybody could tell me what's going on with the Cleveland, if the Browns could tell me what's going on with the Cleveland Browns, I would love to know. It's dude, it's an exercise in pain every season. We have barely gotten through the preseason, and we're already the laughing stock. It's already a lost year, it feels like. Man. Last night, I got to be honest, I didn't plug in too much to Dylan Gabriel and Taylor Green. I was chasing my daughter around and putting her to bed, but they played very well. And so now all of a sudden it's like, well, maybe Dylan Gabriel should have a spot. Shador, meanwhile, has done the right thing the entire time. I just think probably the guys on the football side think that either Deshaun Watson or maybe even Dylan Gabriel would give you a better chance to win right away. Yes, it is personal with Deshaun, but it's also it's everything with Deshaun. Yes. It's the amount of money. It's all of the stuff in Houston. It's everything. Right. I will say, like, in our defense, there were a lot of other teams that would have given him, I don't know about all of that guaranteed money, but there were a lot of other teams that wanted him at that point. So it's been a mess. I think we're going to suck no matter what this year.
Right.
No, I'm not coming to week 1 in Jacksonville. I am going to Tampa. Week 2 is in Tampa, and I'm going.
Okay.
And I am going to that one, if for no other reason, because I want to boo Baker as well. Any quarterback that we've ever had, I don't like.
Right.
So the next Browns quarterback that wins 3 games in a row will be the next one that I cheer for, and I don't think it's going to be anybody on roster.
Man, listen, I'm sure when I saw this news, you were the first guy to come to my mind, and I'm thinking this guy has Tylenol next to his bedside anytime he has to think about the Cleveland.
I'm used to it. It's been 27 years of this, so we're used to it, dude.
Absolutely. Now, I mean, let's shift over to the Orlando Magic. Before we do get into the schedule, a big piece of news did happen with the Magic. David Steele, job well done. He decides now he's going to take a step back. But our friend Dante Marchitelli is now having the torch passed to him. He'll be the full-time play-by-play voice on the TV side alongside Jeff Turner. Just your thoughts on Dante Marchitelli and David Steele, for that matter, him stepping away, and just a great job in which we already know Dante is going to do this.
Yeah, I mean, it's bittersweet, but best news of the summer, I guess. So Dante is, I would consider him a mentor, but he's been basically everything to me in my career. He's the guy who believed in me when I didn't believe in me 20 years ago, and said, we need to get you on the air, and you know, you can be more than just a producer. And so I owe everything to Dante, and so to watch him get that opportunity is so gratifying, and I'm so happy for him, and he's going to knock it out of the park. And then it is a little bittersweet because David meant so much to both of us. Dante basically learned at David's, right in front of him for the majority of Dante's career, doing the television pre and post, as he's done. And then the last couple of years, getting to do play-by-play as well. So it's something really special to me, what Orlando Magic broadcasting, like kind of that lineage and all the people that came before me. And, you know, there's only been so many radio play-by-play guys, and David was one of those. This will be the first season that the Orlando Magic played basketball and David Steele wasn't on the radio or television call. It's year 38. And so that is, I think that is, that's something pretty special. As you said, job well done. I mean, and as Dante said, David is an even better person than he is broadcaster. He's poured so much into people like Dante and I, and meant so much to us. So it's going to be kind of weird not having him on the call this year, but so happy for Dante. An opportunity that certainly he has been working towards, very well deserved. And just for me, you know, I just think about 2006 being the radio intern, Dante hiring me, and that kind of changed my life. Yeah. And now 20 years later, he's the TV play-by-play and on the radio play-by-play. That's something that's I'm gonna get a little bit teary-eyed thinking about that. That's pretty special stuff there.
No, I call him the basketball Mr. Rogers. I mean, he makes everybody his friend. I mean, if not for you guys, I don't know.
And you've seen it at Kia Center too. That guy walks through Kia Center, and it's just like, I mean, that guy's not going to have to buy a drink in Central Florida for the rest of his life.
Never. I mean, if not for you guys, I don't think my career honestly gets started. I mean, the way that you guys have taken out time to believe in a guy like me here in Jacksonville, just wanting to talk basketball and Orlando Magic basketball, to be more specific, and for you guys to do what you've done for me, like David has done for you guys, and you guys paying it
Appreciate
forward.
it. You're giving us too much credit, though. You're well on your way.
I always have to thank you guys, man. I mean, so always have to thank guys like Dante. I mean, what he's done for you, what he's done for me, and what you guys have also carried on, just giving, you know, just kind of a blueprint for me on
pay it forward, young man,
and be accomplished. So thank you guys so much. Another big piece of news that happened over the summer: Sean Sweeney is ultimately named the head coach of the Orlando Magic. Hired a great staff so far, as I'm concerned. I thought DJ Baker did a great job during the summer league. Noah Penda, Jace Richardson showed great promise as they go into year 2. Also seems like there's possibly going to be a lot of pressure on them going into this year. Just a few questions, maybe by the Magic brass surrounding the team and just how they think they're going to move into the future. But I think Orlando is getting a great guy in Sean Sweeney. Just your thoughts about what stands out to you about the new head coach of the ball club.
Well, I think it's you sort of encapsulated it well, and I do think that pressure aspect, like I think that's an important thing to not necessarily lock in on, but to acknowledge. And he did certainly in his intro press conference and everything he said as he addressed the media as he got the job is like, this isn't one of those like, okay, we're going to build it from the ground up type situations. 3 straight first round exits and a team with the talent obviously that we have. But also, you got to look into the cap situation and who's getting paid what kind of money and where you are button up against the second apron, et cetera, et cetera. Like, this is a team and a roster that's ready to win now. And Jeff Weltman, has admitted that much as well. So it's a little bit unique for a guy who's getting his first opportunity. I think a lot of times this sort of job is the type that goes to a guy who has had previous head coaching experience. But Coach Sweeney's previous experience as a lead assistant is about as good as you're ever going to get. And that is why he was so highly sought after by several franchises that, during this cycle. So obviously the job that he did with the Spurs last year is going to be a headliner, but you just go back to the work he did with Giannis in Milwaukee, the reputation he's been able to build, even it stops in Brooklyn and Detroit. And then of course in Dallas as well. I mean, everywhere he's gone, it has been a premier defense. And he's been able to get that out of not just, rosters that are constructed with defense in mind. Like, I think when you think about Milwaukee and having Giannis and the size and sort of the way that roster is a little bit more similar to ours. You think about what they were able to do in Dallas with Luka and Kyrie and that sort of run. That was a completely different type of roster. Yeah. And he got defensive results out of that sort of roster as well. And so I think that sort of stuff really appeals when you're talking about a guy who is going to have expectations right away. Jeff Weltman talked a lot about his mastery of the material, right? Like, they put him through the ringer and all of the questions they had. Hey, we're in this sort of situation, all of the gaming and the type stuff that they do. He nailed every last bit of it. He's very detail oriented, but then also like there's like a burn sort of intensity that comes from him that I think you wanted as well. Right now, we've got a team that sort of needs to be, I think, challenged and dared to rise above what they've been able to do collectively the past 3 seasons. Sometimes that may manifest itself in like getting up for a game in the middle of January that you might not previously have gotten up for. I think it can manifest itself in the off season, making sure that your body is ready for an 82 game season. That sort of mental toughness is something that needs to be, I think, ratcheted up and elevated if we want to take that next step. So it feels like a roster that has the talent. It feels like a whole lot of guys who are ready to take those next steps individually. And it's going to be Sean Sweeney's charge to get them all to do it collectively as well.
Now, I'm glad that you brought up January as we shift towards just the Orlando Magic schedule. Want to get your thoughts on it and your takeaways about it, because, when it comes to January, there is that West Coast swing, and I think it's going to be a tough one. But before we do get into that, I just wanted to know what jumps out at you when it comes to this 2026-2027 Orlando Magic schedule and it officially comes out and you're able to look at the 82 game slate. What jumps out at Jake Chapman?
Yeah, let me pop it open real fast here for you, because the first thing, in all honesty, that popped out at me is, when am I taking paternity leave? Because my wife is due.
Oh man, congrats!
My wife is due in December. My first baby, thank you very much. My first baby was born in May, and it was almost perfect. Like, hey, it's the off season now. I can just spend a whole bunch of time doing the fatherly thing. So this is going to be a little bit tricky. I'm going to have to take a couple weeks off. Like, you can't take 2 games off and then say, okay, babe, back to work. But I'm also not going to miss 30 games either. And not know who's what when I come back, miss the trade deadline, not even know who's on roster. So there's a stretch here in February that I was looking at, right wrapped around the All-Star break, that is pretty wicked, right around Valentine's Day. You're at home for Miami, home for San Antonio, at Oakland, and then at Oklahoma City, excuse me, and then home for the Mavericks right before the All-Star break. So there's a stretch there. Anytime you're seeing Chicago or Oklahoma City and San Antonio, especially within the same the same breath, I think you got to take note of that. And then the months of November and March are the ones that seem like they've got those long trips on them and sort of heavily road based.
Yeah.
Which one did you mention? That trip in
in
January?
So you have New Orleans, Portland, the Lakers, the Clippers, and Denver. Now that's the swing that I looked at, and just wanted to ask you about just a challenge that stretch, and that much travel, from just a fatigue standpoint or even just a mindset standpoint. You kind of alluded to it. Just how locked in do you have to be when you're getting close to the All-Star break, but they're giving you, the NBA is a tough West Coast swing that you have to be able to not only manage but come out on the other side potentially with a winning record.
Yeah, it's funny because this past season we had that trip coming out of the All-Star break,
Right.
and so everybody was rested, and the back end of it we ended up sweeping Los Angeles, but we were in LA for a couple days. We played the Clippers on the back half of a back-to-back and squeaked that game out, although Kawhi was insane. And then 2 days later, pretty well rested, end of the trip, knocked the Lakers out. If you recall, and it was that was I think one of the better wins of the season, in my opinion. Anytime you win at Crypto.com Arena. Look, I don't know if either of those teams are going to be any good this year, right? And so LA is always like high pressure, but you always get your best performances. It's not a shocker that Paolo always seems to show out when we're in either of those buildings. He's a West Coast kid. This year, that trip that you're looking at, so it's you start in Portland, not too worried about the Blazers this year. Then you have back-to-back Thursday, Friday against LA, Lakers first, and then the Clippers. And then you're right, end of the trip, you're in Denver. That's a schedule loss almost no matter what. But no, I don't mind that. Like if I got to play 4 teams out west and 3 of them are Portland and the 2 LA teams, that's not terrible. Especially like all of a sudden, it feels like the Houston trips or the Texas trips. You throw in Houston, San Antonio, it's a tough little span right there. And then the Mavericks are on the come up as well. And then a lot of times they include those Oklahoma trips. So those trips to the heartland, and now all of a sudden Minnesota, it feels like it's going to get kind of looped into these Detroit, Milwaukee trips. Milwaukee's going to take a step back, I think. But some of those 2 and 3 game trips might be really tricky based on some of the sort of new power in the Eastern and Western conferences.
Now, one more that I wanted to kind of point out, and this is going kind of back to Sean Sweeney and him wanting to establish the identity. And we've also heard Desmond Bain talking about he wants to establish an identity, and he's talked to me, he's talked to Paolo, Franz, and the others about the identity he wants to establish. And when I look at the beginning of the schedule, 3 of your first 5 are on the road. Orlando's going to travel for 7 of their first 11 and 14 of their first 21 contests this season. You're opening at home against Atlanta. Just how important is that opening stretch for Orlando going to be in terms of establishing the identity they want to have for the rest of the year?
Very. I mean, I think a lot of things, like when you talk about where the roster is right now and in the level of expectations and the fact that they haven't been met, and the move that you made last season was, switching up the coach and the coaching staff. I think that, there's going to be a lot of pressure before the trade deadline this year, right? Like if you get off to a really bad start, well, they ain't firing the coach. That means players might be looking over their shoulder. I don't expect to get off to a bad start, but I do think getting off to winning 2 out of your first 3 games over the first 20, right? Like getting off to a 15-5 type starter or 14-7 through 21 games. Something along those lines can really take a lot of pressure off everybody. Now we can settle in for the long run, and it feels like, okay, we're on the right track. Whereas you drop 4 or 5, and especially like I felt like last year, boy, things got off on the wrong foot. You played 3 games at home at the beginning of the season, came out, you beat Miami for that first one, and then you drop games to Chicago and Atlanta, and all of a sudden you're 1 and 2 headed out on the road, and it just felt like we were behind the 8 ball. Taking advantage of home games early on are going to be huge. Certainly, as you head out on the road, as you mentioned, like having a whole lot of games early on in the season that are out on the road, I think that can be, especially for a team that it does have a little bit of a veteran bent to it, I think that can be one of those bonding type things, or at the very least kind of gets you into business mode early on, and that can be something very beneficial to a roster sort of like ours is that kind of understands the task at hand.
Absolutely. Now, when it comes to also the Orlando Magic going into this season, it seems that when you look at the list, they've really been placed behind the eight ball as well. And I think it's because of the additions that we're seeing out east, whether it's LeBron and Jaylen Brown now going to Philadelphia. I mean, of course, the Knicks are going to be trying to protect their title, especially in the Eastern Conference. Miami is now all of a sudden a team that's making a lot of moves. Tyrese Halliburton's going to be back in Indiana, et cetera, et cetera. It feels like although they are very under the radar, you're seeing guys like Paolo, you're seeing guys like Franz and Desmond Bane as well, talking and clamoring and saying, listen, we have the talent to be a really good team. Is it a bad thing, kind of in your opinion? Well, not necessarily a bad thing, but do you think it's a good thing that this team is kind of being looked or just overlooked in my opinion when it comes to the Eastern Conference just because of the output they had last year?
Yeah, maybe. Expectations can be heavy. And I think we saw that last year. And, unfortunately, I think you end up it's really easy to wilt under the weight of your own expectations, but obviously like you created the expectations in the first place. They didn't come out of nowhere generally. And certainly they didn't with us. Like we're Orlando. Like we don't get hyperinflated the only reason people start to take notice is because it feels like, hey, they won 25 out of 35 last year or whatever. So, for about 4 consecutive seasons, going back to like year 2 under Coach Mosley, it felt like it was building, and then it kind of plateaued. And that's, unfortunately in this league, that's how changes occur. I think it's fine. I think as soon as you get too caught up in where they're ranking us, though, you're probably focused on the wrong things, period. So, yes, you and I are locked in. We're reading the power rankings, and it is, and it's. I think it's a loaded Eastern Conference. You mentioned it, like there's there's only 10 spots, and there's only 8 spots, and then it's just there's going to be some good teams in the play-in tournament next year. I think we all understand that. Yeah. You got to make sure that you are keeping yourself in position all season long, hopefully to make a nice little charge. And I think, in my head, I'm going a top 6 seed in that conference. That means you did your work and then you're setting yourself up potentially to win a round 1 series. And that's what we're looking for. We need to get to the Final 4 in the Eastern Conference next year, in my opinion. And it doesn't mean it's a failure if you don't get there, but I think that everybody is sort of locked in, like, got to win a playoff series with this group and get that taste if you want to feel like you're heading in the right direction.
Now, I mean, Dante Marchitelli, he has said that he feels like this team has the talent to finish top 3 in the Eastern Conference. And I mean, we've seen lots of flashes from this group where you're like, damn, this is a really good team. But I mean, the thing we always underline is health. And hopefully this team can have a healthy year the entire season, although we do understand that injuries do happen. But if I can ask you, a healthy Paolo, a healthy Franz, healthy Jaylen, alongside Desmond Bane, is it unrealistic to think this team could be a top 5 seed in the Eastern Conference?
No, not at all. I mean, the top 3 for sure. Like, I think is definitely in the mix. I think if our team is healthy, they absolutely could win the Eastern Conference, because I think the way the regular season shakes out is, a team like Philadelphia, for instance, like it's not going to happen right away. Yes, it's going to, they have a very, very high ceiling, right? But and they're not going to want it to happen right away. Like LeBron took, October off last year with the sciatica. Like they're going to try to make sure they're peaking in March.
Right.
A lot, Miami's going to be the same way. Like a lot of the teams with those sort of high sets of expectations, we should be able to stack some wins, I think, early on, because we don't have any sort of that leeway. We've got a new head coach who's trying to establish something, and we haven't won or proven anything. And so I think that is a really good way to set yourself up to advance in the postseason, is to get home court advantage in round 1 and try to make sure you have 4 games at the Kia Center, because we really think that would have been a difference in the Cleveland series 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and the Detroit series this year, obviously. So all of that stuff matters, and I do think that for sure, like, there is no reason that we can't be one of the best regular season teams in the Eastern Conference if we're healthy, if we're locked in for 82, and that is probably your best chance. to do something that you haven't been able to do, which is be one of the best postseason teams as well in the Eastern Conference.
Before I do get into a couple of players that I want to ask you about, just one Jake Chapman question, because we always see players over the summer. They're always working on their games, preparing for yet another 82 game season. For the radio play-by-play voice of the Orlando Magic, how do you prepare for the 82 game season?
I mean, first off, I unplug. Like, the first thing I do is I try to just completely reset. I like listening leisurely to other broadcasters throughout the summer. So, like, I love tennis. Like, I like to watch tennis broadcast and just take little bits, bits and pieces. But there isn't any like fire the game up and watch and get back into my mode. I'd send myself notes all season long or all summer long. That's something that I do that I think a lot of people believe in. I try to read a whole lot. Yeah. And I try to rest my pipes, man. Make sure they're ready to go. I do make sure I'm doing my vocal exercises and things like that, making sure everything is loose and I'm ready to enunciate when we jump back in.
Absolutely, because I need to continue hearing all this season. That's money. I love hearing that from Jake Chapman. So if I'm not able to have that because your vocal cords aren't where they need to be, I'm going to be an unhappy camper, because we're going to have a lot of games this season. Here on 1010XL. I've been pushing for that. They're giving me the green light to be able to have more.
Yeah, buddy, and we appreciate that.
Absolutely. Now, one guy that has been working on his game, at least to me, it's been the summer of Paolo Banchero. He looks, in great shape. He's been working out with Kevin Durant. I've been a guy that has, listen, I'm waving the Paolo Banchero flag. I'm like, this is our franchise guy. This is our best player. But I also know that I do hold him to a high standard because he is so good. But also sometimes I have to step back and say he's only 23 years old. He's still figuring this out. Jake, for you, if Paolo were to come to you, say, listen, I just want to have a private conversation with you, Jake. What can I do to help the Magic go from being a really good team to a championship contender? You would say what?
Oh man, it's a really good question. I think my first answer would be just keep being yourself, just keep doing you, because his trajectory is good enough for him to be the best player on a championship team, in my opinion. I don't think you need the benchmarks need to be the same as they've been for everybody previous. Right. Every team tells its own story, and what you need to be a championship NBA team right now is you need to be healthy. You need to be the best collection of 5 or 6 two-way players in the world for 2 months in the spring or summer. And so, once upon a time, it was like, well, if you don't have LeBron or Steph, there's no chance. Like, it's all superstar driven. Well, Jalen Brunson's good enough, and then every year somebody else is good enough to be the best player on a championship team because they've got OG Anunoby or Aaron Gordon or Alex Caruso or whatever. Like, you can win a championship with your best player being an all-star that year and 3 or 4 other really, really good two-way players that play together and that are healthy. And that's the recipe, that's the formula. And so that sounds like us right now. We just got to put it all together. Now the Knicks obviously, and the Pacers a couple years ago, making their finals run. Most of the time teams get to that point and bump their heads a few times. So we got to advance deep to get to the level of Oklahoma or San Antonio or whoever to feel like we're knocking at the doorstep. But I think that the ingredients are all right there. I think with Paolo, it's a matter of, can you be a little bit more efficient? Can you be a little bit better, of a leader, like taking the reins and taking the team under your wing at times, but also when this is that tightrope, knowing when to defer to Franz and making sure that Franz is, like that. This stuff, it's really easy to say, hey, go be a better leader. Like, when you're in the moment and it's like, I got to get number 22 locked in and I got to be here and I got to shut up 20,000 people. Like, it's just so much. And so that's why my first answer would be what Paolo's doing right now is good enough. And is going to be good enough. He's so good in the big moments. He's so good in the postseason. He's so good when 5 sets of eyes are on him and there isn't any shooting around him, and he's just gotta bang his head against the wall and create. And so all of those things as those reps become more and more second nature, as he reads and reacts and gets more used to all of the different things that teams try with him, he's going to become more and more, I think, efficient, and he's going to become more and more adept at creating for his teammates and making the right basketball play. And as you mentioned, for his age, he's already at such a good place. But those are the little things, right? Creating for your teammates, being a little bit more efficient, turning the ball over a little bit less. One thing that I'll tell you straight up, and I've been talking about it since he came into the league, is his free throws. The way he gets to the free throw line is about as good as just about anybody in the league. I mean, there are nights where it's like you're watching Giannis. They can't stop him from getting to where he wants to get on the floor, and the only way to stop him is just to maul him and send him to the free throw line. If he can shoot above 80%, he's going to add another 2 or 3 points to his PPG at the end of the year. So all of those things are little incremental changes that he can make that is just going to take the ceiling right off the top.
Now, in our exit interview that we had before the summertime hit, your MVP for the Orlando Magic was Desmond Bane. Now, I want to kind of shift from that and go to, who do you think is your early favorite for your Orlando Magic MIP, the most improved player on the squad going into this season once we get to this time of year going into next year? And I ask you the question, who was the most improved, you would say what?
That's a good question, because most improved is always... like, it always feels like it's, is it somebody who goes from good to all-star, or like all-star caliber to superstar, or is it somebody that, sort of comes out of the blue and contributes a lot? I think I shouldn't say that. I think there's a real opportunity for Jace Richardson to impact the team and to play consistently. Javon Carter is going to play a big role with the backups. Having Vuce, obviously, like, now you can have it basically in a second unit built around somebody offensively. You just think back to Joe Ingles and Mo when they were healthy. Like you just got something offensively that you can work with. Having Vuce. And so I think there's the second units, and then AB, obviously, we saw last year, I think was, he elevated. So for AB is going to be our most improved this year. He's going to be a freaking all-star, right? Like, he's at that point. We know what we expect out of him. I think there's going to be some backup point guard creation opportunities, sort of opposite Javon, that you just think about last year. Jett Howard's gone. You just had some backup wing and scorers minutes that I think are available that hopefully Jace Richardson is able to reach in and kind of pounce on a little bit, because I think, as you mentioned, like what we've seen and what we saw in Summer League, small doses, is he's making incremental changes and improvements. I think he knows exactly, to get on the floor, he needs to be a little bit more Javon Carter, right? And so I think that's going to be a good guy for him to shadow and to learn from. But I think hopefully at the end of the year, you're sitting there going, Jace Richardson has proven he is a backup point guard in this league, a scoring option, a heat up type of guy, and a guy who can give you some perimeter shooting in a group that I think is going to need it.
For me, I think probably my early favorite for most improved, if I had to eliminate Anthony Black from that question, because, oh my gosh, he was a dog last year. I liked what I saw out of Noah Pinda during the Summer League. So hopefully Noah Pinda is able to get some time on the floor.
And let me just say, I think Noah is ready. And I think the biggest storyline from Summer League was Noah's improvement. Like, it looks like Noah's ready. Noah's got a little bit more of a
great shape too. Yeah,
like you just think about with Vuce, like, is Noah going to play 4 or 5? And then we've got when we're healthy, we've got so many options at the forward spots. Then you think about J.I. also kind of lurking there. You're going to want to keep him fresh. So I think Noah early in the season for sure, but it'll be interesting to see what the backup 4 and 5 minutes look like coming down the stretch.
Last one for you before I let you go. And as always, thank you so much, Jake, for giving us a couple moments. I think it was absolute pandemonium in City Beautiful when you're able to look at Twitter and you see that Nikola Vucević is coming home, going to be wearing the right colors again, back in Orlando, playing for the Magic. And I think that this works in a multitude of ways, but one of the big things, and you had brought his name up, Joe Ingles. I thought that when Joe was in Orlando for those early years of of Paolo and Franz, I think he was the guy that they listened to and that they were able to kind of bounce things off of. And if he pulled them off to the side during a game and said, listen, this is what coach is saying, and he was able to relay that information, I think that they listened to him. I think that that's kind of been missing over the last couple of years. And I think Nikola Vučević, not only is he going to play, but I think he can kind of take that Joe Ingles role and be that guy in which your franchise cornerstones can kind of bounce ideas off of if they have kind of any questions as they continue to grow and matriculate throughout the league. Just your thoughts on Nikola Vučević's return to Orlando and how he's going to be able to help this group.
Yeah, and you lose Mo Wagner in free agency. I think he had a sense that was probably going to happen. He landed in a good spot, I think. I think he's going to get some good opportunities in Brooklyn, and I know Jordi Fernandez is going to love having Mo Wagner with that young roster. And look, with the injury to Mo 2 seasons ago was so brutal because of the role that he was poised to play for that team. Right. And obviously, I think it was a really big blow to that season, but then obviously the where Mo was in his career, where he was financially and where he was set to go, it all sucked for a multitude of reasons. Yes. You think about Vuč filling that role and having a backup center who can score, and having a backup center who can space the floor, having a backup center who can run pick and roll, but then who can create for his teammates as well. You could dump the ball to Vuč in, at the elbow and expect good things to happen. You can raise up and shoot over. You can run pick and pop stuff, all kinds of stuff. It's going to help everybody. It's going to help Anthony Black a lot, I think. Yes. I think it's going to help Paolo and Franz when they're on the floor with guys within the second unit. It's going to give you a different look from Wendell because Vuč is a better offensive creator and just shooter in general. So there's just so many different things in ways I think it's going to impact his teammates on the floor. And then, as you mentioned, it's still a young group. Now, it's not like we're a bunch of kids like we were before, right? Like it's not like he's going to come in and be Unk and everybody's going to be but he is a guy who, when you start to get to where Vuč is and you start to think about how many centers have come and gone since Nick Vucevic entered the league. That longevity and taking care of your money, but also all of those things. Taking care of your body and figuring out a way to be a big man and play double-digit seasons. That I think there's a lot of value there for young players as well, especially the guys. You think about a guy like Goga. The impact of here's a guy who's been able to do it right in every destination. And then I step back and I go, man, we traded him for Wendell, and now we got both these guys.
Right.
Yeah, I love that. That's fun right there. It's going to be awesome. And for us, I mean, I kind of missed Vuč. I was here when we first traded for him, and then I went and worked in Detroit. And then right when I got back, it's like we traded him about a year later. Right. So I don't know him as well, but Dante and George, like they're probably his favorite. He's probably their favorite player of all time. Like he is so great for broadcasters, for front office people, just salt of the earth type of guy. And so they were over the moon for sure to have Vuč back.
I am absolutely excited. We are almost here, Jake, back to Orlando Magic basketball. I understand probably the next time that I will see you is going to be media days. Can't wait to give you a hug and embrace you, man, because, I mean, as much as I've enjoyed the summer and the time off, man, we got to get back to Orlando basketball here, man. So certainly excited. Hope that we have a year of good health, and I am ready for this Magic team to shock the world and to hear it all from one Mr. Jake Chapman, the radio play-by-play voice of the Orlando Magic. You'll hear him periodically throughout the regular season here on This Magic Moment, but just wanted to give you guys just a little season preview and what's been going on over the summer. Jake, thank you so much once again just for kind of giving us a season preview, a season breakdown of what's to come for the Orlando Magic, man, and see you next month there at Media Days, man. Thank you.
Anytime. Appreciate it, RJ. Appreciate you guys. We'll talk soon.